All right, we are live. Welcome everybody to episode 6 of the Content Lab podcast. Today we have Carly Johnson, also known as Carly Kreative. She's a digital content artist who specializes in photography, design, and social media management. She currently works as a head media manager and photographer of Proven Fitness under the direction of Shane Orr and Tia Claire Toomey. Carly, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm stoked to be here.
Yeah, same here. Um, I have a confession to make before we get started.
Yes.
I'm a huge Carly Creative fan.
Aw, I'm a big
I
Bone fan.
whatever. I tell you all the time. I feel like your stuff is similar than what I told Eric. Is something that you see and right away you know it's you. You know what I mean?
Thank
It's
you.
it's very um very distinctive. Very it's just you. I don't know how to explain it, but it's really cool and I love it. I know people that are in our industry love it as well.
Yeah, thanks so much. I've spent a long time trying to refine my style, and we're finally getting to a spot where I'm feeling really proud of my work. So I'm
That's
stoked to
awesome.
be here. Yeah.
Yeah. First thing I want to know about you. Well, one of the cool things about this is that I mean I've known you since probably the games or Whatapalusa. We talked a little bit, but I don't know much about you. So it's kind of like a
Hmm.
good way of like actually getting to know you too, and also people
For
listening
sure.
getting to know you. So tell me about your background. Where were you? Just tell me about you. Where were you born and
Yeah.
how did you get started and all that?
Yeah, for sure. So I was born and raised in Duluth, Minnesota, so way up near the Canadian border. And I was born into a family of three, and I made it the fourth. My dad's name is Tim. My mom is Greta, and Lou is my sibling. And so my whole family's blonde, born into a blonde family. Even my dogs are blonde. And I grew up very, very active, playing lots of sports growing up. And yeah, I think I played like 7 sports accumulatively throughout growing up, spent tons of time outside. And then always in my free time, I would choose to do art. And so a majority of my creative side, I would say, comes from my dad. He was really big on pushing me to go to art camps and pick up cameras and just, I don't know, get creative with whatever I had. But I think I owe a lot of my creativity to just being in an environment that is outdoors and allows me to create and expand and all of that. And so, yeah, that's kind of like where I was born and raised.
Awesome. What was first for you, design or photography?
Ooh, definitely photography. I started as a middle schooler. I had like a little Canon power shot. And I got it as like a Christmas gift or something. So I would shoot anything accessible to me. Um, and yeah, like literally rocks, friends and family, the grass, like any photographer getting any photographer getting started kind of knows like you just shoot whatever you can, and that was me for the first 3 years of getting into photography. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we have some people here in the chat kind of, wow, you're famous. Look at this.
Oh, whatever.
Shane says, "Let's go, Carly." So,
Oh yeah.
well, we'll get to the point of you working for Proven in a minute, which is something I'm super interested about. Tell me about your beginnings in photography. Obviously, you just explained that's kind of like how you started shooting and like found your passion for photography. But what was
Yeah,
the
I
moment that you kind of like realized like, okay, I can probably make this my career, or I would like to do more than just shooting my family and just kind of like start like experimenting more with actually like making money or maybe in the future like making it your career.
Yeah. I think my journey with that's probably pretty different than most people. I didn't when I was growing up, I didn't have a goal to be in the creative space at all. Like in the back of my head, like I knew I had passion there and I wanted to do it, but when I you go to a career fair in high school and you see like you can become a doctor, a lawyer, a business owner, like nobody tells you you can go work in CrossFit media or you can do social media. And so for myself, like I didn't really entertain that idea for a majority of growing up. And it wasn't until I went to college and I studied at the University of Minnesota for 4 years. I studied law. So political science, sociology of law, and I had a huge passion for helping people. Like that, if I could help people, I was like, we're good. And so the way that I knew I thought I could do that was through law. But I ended up getting a job at a law firm, and it was a fantastic firm. Like, it's very prestigious. But I, during my lunch breaks and whatnot, I would draw, or I would watch like videos online, or I would, like, I even brought paint one time and I would paint at the office. And like, I could sense that I could sense that there was something more. Like, I didn't want to just be in an office for the rest of my life. And I also saw so many lawyers that like I looked up to just not having a high quality life. Like, everyone was really stressed out. Like, everyone was dealing with everyone's worst case scenario. And when I took like a pretty big look at what I was headed to do, I was like, I don't know if I can do that. And so I kind of spent time throughout high school and college. Like, I did photos on the side, and I always would add in shoots here and there, but I didn't really let myself like believe that I could be a full-time creator until I went to the law firm and I realized I really have to take the leap to try to make this happen. And so naturally, just through not liking the work I was doing, I was like, let's do this. And so I quit my job at the firm, and I literally started reaching out to everybody that I could think of that inspired me. So yeah, I think I DM'd like Matt O'Keefe or something on LinkedIn, and I was like, I would love to get any opportunity at all. And so yeah, that was kind of my first connection was O'Keefe, and then I ended up working for Loud and Live later on. I found Proven. So yeah, it
Yeah.
started with the belief that I didn't think I would ever be a full-time creator because I didn't think I could make a living off of it. And I didn't know if I trusted myself that early in life yet to do it. So I'm so thankful that I did, though.
Yeah, you did it young too. How old are
Mm-hmm.
you right now? 24, 25,
Yep, 24.
25? Yeah,
How
there
old
you
are
go.
you?
So I'm 28, so
Oh,
just a little bit
dang. Okay.
older. Yeah, I find
Yep.
super interesting that most people that I've interviewed, and some of my friends too that are in the same industry, like we
Mm-hmm.
all got our first opportunity just reaching out to somebody on social media, which is pretty
Sure.
cool. Like that's how I got my first opportunity too, or that's how I met people that like at some point like influenced me or taught me something. It was just seeing somebody's work and being like, dude, I love what you do. And how can I like, can you, can you help me like create
Yeah.
stuff like you do? And it's pretty cool how most people are very very good with that like interaction. Like they don't care about like sharing. At some point, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you can say secrets, but it's just like just sharing your knowledge, I guess.
Yeah.
So
I I think too, like, it's because everybody's been at the spot of like, oh, I
correct.
don't know, like I need any resource possible.
Mhm.
So like, you know, asking for assistance, asking for help, there's no shame in that, and so like I get messages all the time of like, how did you get started? And it's like, you just have to start, like
Yeah,
you have to trust that you can do it. And then once you have that trust in yourself, like you can take it anywhere.
absolutely. So we have Renato Fury. He's saying that he's your number one fan. Is that true?
Aw, yeah, he is a number one fan. He's a good dude.
All right, Shane, tell him your new 5K time. What's that
Oh
about?
no. Shame. Um, so yeah, so Dwight, one of the coaches at Proven, just wrote a 5K ebook, and everyone at Proven knows that I'm not a huge runner. Like, you can find me squatting, you can find me lifting, but I'm not a huge runner. So Dwight wrote this 5K program, and it was essentially like couch to 5K. I'm not I'm not at the couch level, but like I was like, all right, I should figure out how to get this running stuff under control. So I did this whole program, whatever, and I think I got 24:37. So like
Okay.
not impressive at all. But
But if it's an improvement, that's good. So Dwight's one of the
mhm,
coaches have proven?
yeah, yeah. Dwight runs the Proven affiliate track, so he works with
Awesome.
all the affiliates with Proven.
Great. So we have a question. This one's really good. So this one is Kara E Photography, Kara Everill. She says, you have an amazing creative voice. I would love to hear a bit about the process of you developing your style. Is it something you experimented with for a while, or did you have a clear concept early on? That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say most of what I've learned about my style has happened through trial and error. Um, I love lighter photos, so like I always am inspired by trying to keep as much light and brightness in my photos as possible. But I would say that I fell on my style accidentally. Like, honestly, I've never taken a photography course, I've never taken a design course. So everything that I've learned, I've like searched on YouTube, or and then I would try to take that knowledge from YouTube and figure out my own thing from there. And so I honestly, like, I always tell anybody, like, just the mistakes are what makes you so much better, because all of my work has come from just messing around on my computer, and I'm like, wow, I really like that. And you can look at my work and know that I love orange, teal, I do love green, like I love yellow. And so yeah, I try to capitalize on the vibrancy as much as I can. Just because at the end of the day, like, I want my work to have like invoke emotion for people. Like, I've seen photos before that I'm like, whoa, I feel something from that.
Hmm.
And that's always a goal. And so yeah, my work looks very happy. Like, a lot of people have told me like, oh yeah, your work looks very happy. I'm like, thanks. Like, that's great. So yeah, trial and
Yeah.
error, mostly.
Yeah. What I like the most about your work is the way you experiment with different like angles, foregrounds. Like, I mean, your colors are like you can see right away. Okay, this is Carly, but the way you like you just have a different perspective of what we usually shoot. Like, I don't know, like somebody doing a clean and jerk. Like everybody just gets like the same angle, but I feel like
Mm-hmm.
your photos are a little different in the sense that you might like go behind somebody and try to get like a little foreground and then like a different focal length. There is something about that's different. And
Yeah.
in my own opinion, I know everybody's different, but I do like a lot of that like new style of CrossFit photography that we didn't see like
Yeah.
I don't know 4 or 5 years ago. I feel like nobody really was super experimental with either colors or angles,
So
focal
true.
length. um, and I think it's also because the industry of like content creators have grown so much in the last 4 years. Like a lot of people are
Yeah.
getting a lot more opportunities to work for brands. Athletes like being able to hire photographers. So there's a lot more people too. So it just kind of like opened like a new like door for everybody to be a little more experimental.
Oh, so true. Yeah, I think just with social media, like, you can DM somebody and it can change your life, right? Like,
Yeah.
and it's crazy because it's like people back then, like, they didn't have like the brands or people that we do now. And so, there's like, why not, shoot somebody a DM and see how it goes?
Yeah. So let's go back to the your first opportunity. You said O'Keefe was the first one to give you an opportunity, right? With Loud and
Yeah.
Life. Tell me a
Yeah.
little bit more about that.
So I actually remember sitting at the law firm, and I saw, I think, an Instagram post for Wadapalooza, and I was like, whoa, that's really cool. And I somehow pieced together that Loud and Live also ran events in addition to athlete marketing and whatnot. So I was like, that's really cool. Like, I would love to get connected with that. I didn't know anybody that worked for Loud and Live. All I knew is that O'Keefe was the president of it. And so I shot him a message on LinkedIn, and he connected me eventually with Dylan, and then who connected me with Kristen, who for a long time was the media director for Loud and Live. And so I volunteered in 2020 at Wadapalooza, and I was such a rookie. Like, that was my first time using like a zoom lens in my life. Like, I didn't know anything. And I did what was asked of me. Like, I was behind the scenes. I got to be on the floor for a little bit, but I looked up to so many people there because I was just so green. Like, I had never really even been at a CrossFit comp. So yeah, that's where I met Fury Photography Renato. And at the time, like it was really cool being around that environment because I never had that. But yeah, so after Wadapalooza, everything shut down from COVID, and Loud and Live was actually looking for somebody to take over the Granite Games social media. And so they just from meeting me at Wadapalooza, they gave me that opportunity to run Granite Games um, and then West Coast Classic. So for a while, I was running Granite Games and West Coast Classic all through COVID. We did the United in Movement stuff, all of that. So that was a huge opportunity for me because I didn't know much about event marketing or social media at all, really. Like they just gave me a really good chance. Um,
And at that point, you were not in the law firm anymore, right?
right. Nope. So at
Okay.
the end of 2019, I quit my job at the law firm. And then in 2020, I was like, I'm going to do everything I can to get some connections. So that's when I volunteered at Wadapalooza and then everything shut down. So I remember thinking when everything shut down, I was like, good thing I just quit my really secure job to be an artist because
Yeah.
everything was up in the air. So, but yeah, that's kind of where it started.
Cool. Yeah. It's funny because my first big event, when I went to the 2019 CrossFit Games, it was kind of like that. Like I feel like I really didn't know what I was doing. I was
Yeah.
kind of like winging it. I got the opportunity to go there because of this company called What Prep.
Okay.
Ben Siwolski and CJ, they had some masters athletes, and I know both of them very well. And they kind of like, hey, we know you take pictures. You want to come with us? I'm like, yeah, sure. It was kind of like scary, obviously, because I mean, you see everybody like that they've been around for a while. You're just there, like kind of like faking it until you make it, kind of style.
Oh, so
And
true.
but it just taught me so much because I was like, like I just pushed myself into that situation that was uncomfortable and like tried to figure it out. And I feel like at the end of the weekend, I had some good pictures that I was like, okay, like I feel like I need to keep working on this and I can improve. But yeah, that's kind of how I got started as like the first like big gig. Before that, I did some stuff for
Hmm.
my gym, for some local competitions, but never to the point of like, shooting like in front of a lot of people.
Right. I know I definitely remember the fear of starting. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like everything, once you start getting comfortable, it's, kind of like natural. So,
Yeah.
going back to you finished, okay, timeline. So you're working with Loud and Live.
Yeah.
How do you get connected with from that? Did you go straight to Proven or you did something in between?
Yeah, no. So I did work for Loud and Live until I was with Proven, but in
Okay.
between, I was also running a social media account, Timberwolf Fitness, for Andrea Nisler. So
Okay.
she's on Team Mayhem, and so I was doing social media and photo for her gym, and yeah, so through kind of Andrea and um, I met Nick Johnston, who you also know. And so I actually moved back home because I was going through a breakup at the time. And so I moved home in January of 2021, and that was a very rough time in my life for sure because like I lost all my connections from where I was living. I didn't really know like if I would be able to keep the jobs that I had, and so I was just looking for a fresh start. And Nick actually reached out to me and was like, hey, I just started working with Proven and we're looking for somebody um, who is who can do photo, social media design, all of this stuff. Is this anything that you would be interested in? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I sent him my portfolio the same day and I was like, hopefully like fingers crossed that would be something. And but at the time I didn't even know what Proven was. Like Proven was in such a baby stage at that point that it needed something to take it off the ground a little bit. And so that really excited me because I was so ready to dedicate everything that I had to that. So yeah, so the initial connection was made by Nick Johnston, who's the Proven Compete coach on Proven. Um, and yeah, so that's kind of how it started. I
Yeah.
didn't hear back from Nick for a while, so I thought that they picked somebody else. They weren't too happy with my work. Like, that's what I told myself. But I was at home and I was fooling around with design work and whatnot, and I created a post with the Proven logo in it of Tia and I think Will Morad. And Shane ended up sending me that post and was like, "Hey Carly, like, I'm a big fan of your work or something. Like, would you be okay to jump on a call?" And I was like, "Whoa, of course. That's super cool." Then the next day we jumped on a call to kind of connect about the position. And yeah, that's kind of like the initial how I got introduced with Shane.
That's
So
awesome. I feel like Nick is the man that gives opportunities around, because
yeah.
that's kind of one of the reasons that I got connected with Mayhem was because of Nick. So to tell you how we met, he sent me a DM, or we just started talking like on the DMs whenever, he actually was a content creator before he
Yep.
was a coach. He was actually pretty good, and I
Mhm.
think we started talking like, dude, I like your work. Yeah, I like yours too. And then from there, we kind of like DM'd every once in a while, and
Yep.
then I remember he has accepted the position to be a coach at Proven, and I was like, dude, that's so cool. Like,
Mhm.
I was like super stoked for him. And from there, we just kept on talking, and he started telling me about P10, how they sponsored Andrea and Taylor,
Yeah.
and from there, I kind of obviously Bennett, which was is still one of my best friends, just started working with Mayhem. So it was kind
Okay.
of like a double connection there, like Nick being like, hey, if you work with them, you can also shoot for P10 and help us out, and Bennett kind of like putting a good word on me, and then from there he kind of like, so those two kind of like helped me get there. But yeah,
Yeah,
Nick,
that's
after that, I mean, he's one of my, I consider him one of my best friends. I shot his wedding, and such a good
mhm.
guy, and he's doing such great things,
Yeah.
like a thousand things at the same time, which is incredible.
Right. Yeah. Nick's
All right.
great because he's always thinking of ways to make things better, and
Yeah,
that's he naturally just reached out to me to try to improve what was happening with Proven. And yeah, he's a great coach, great dude.
absolutely. Okay, let's answer some questions. We have Cooper Dennett. He says, so you run social for your own brand and then also for Proven. What is your relationship with social media, and what are the good and bad sides of running social media platforms?
Ooh, great question. Um, yeah, there are some good and bad sides for sure. I think I'll start with the good. Um, the good definitely stems from seeing how a brand can take off just through a free platform. Like, investing time into a absolutely free platform can change a business or a company from nothing into something incredible. And so, yeah, I would say that it's created for Proven. It's created such a huge community of people from across the world. Like, Tia and Shane have so many roots back in Australia, and so we have so much. We have a big passion for expanding globally instead of just here in the United States. And so, the good sides, absolutely, like the community aspect of it, and being able to take a brand to the next level for sure. Um, I would say also it allows you to be creative and to express yourself and to, like, you know, for somebody else to appreciate content that you care so much about. I think, like, when you only keep your art to yourself, like, nobody gets to see what you're feeling or what you're doing or what you care about. And when you share that, it opens up so many doors. And that's a huge thing that I've noticed. I would say the bad side, it's very consuming. It a lot of times makes you question, are you as good as this person? Like, is my work as good as that person? Like, that's I struggled with that when I was first getting started, and now I've found a lot more confidence with what I'm doing. But absolutely, I would say the comparison game is the biggest bad side of it. It makes you think that, why am I even trying if somebody else is better, type thing. And that's hard because you're you and nobody can be you. So yeah, I would say that's probably the worst thing about social media.
I agree. And in reality, we only post the best pictures that we take, so nobody
Yeah.
get to see all the mess ups, and nobody tells you like how many times we've been messing up and all that. So I can see it
Yeah.
being something that you look at somebody's work and you're like, oh gosh, like all they do is take great pictures. But I mean, we all struggle in one way or another.
Oh,
Um,
so true.
Talking about social media, about proven social media, I think you do a great job in keeping everything super consistent. Like the colors look the same, everything like flows super well, and I love the
Thank you.
design too. Like, um, I feel like your name it's perfect. Like Carly Creative, it's just like such a perfect name. Well, obviously it says your
No,
name, but
thanks.
it's also kind of like it's something that sticks to your mind. Like I remember when I first heard Carly Creative, I'm like, okay, cool. And then at the same time, you're like super creative. You see all the designs that you do, the
Yeah.
photography, like everything. So tell me about the design for Proven because obviously I feel like you do a lot of things for them. How
Yeah.
does it work to like do you create all their like crafts and like what else do you do for them in the talking about only design?
Only design. Yeah, I do all the design work. Brandon BC Visions, he has done some design work for Proven as well. But primarily I do all of the social media posts. So, all the programming posts. I do all the apparel design. Um, I do, yeah, any like photo, photo collage type
So you do
designs.
the
I do
apparel
all of that.
too? Like
Yep.
wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Is was that
So
all self-taught as well?
oh yeah, like I had never created design for apparel in my life, and Shane was like, "Yeah, Carly, you want to design some stuff for our apparel?" And I was like, "Okay, like I have Pinterest, I can get inspired." So
Yeah.
yeah, I just went for it, and it's been really cool.
Yeah, I
But
think it looks
yeah,
really good. It's super clean, and I feel like that's kind of like the way, like the path that Proven is going. Everything looks like clean, like the colors are like nice. Everything looks really good. It's
yeah,
funny that people, like a lot of my clients, I do some social media as well, and a lot of my clients
hmm,
think that I'm a designer too. I'm really bad at it. I can do some, but I never like advertise my services as somebody that can do designs. But it's funny how some people or some people that don't know, like they just think, oh, you're a photographer, you're like creative. Yeah, can you make a graph for me or something? Like, no, I can't. Like
yeah,
you need to have some kind of like talent to do it. So that's why I really appreciate what you do and what people like Eric. He is the one that designs everything for
yeah,
HWPO.
yeah,
So it's really really impressive.
yeah.
We
I will say like I don't say that I'm confident in my design ability, but when I started with Proven, I didn't like to tell Shane that I was a designer because I didn't really think I was very good at all. And he's somebody that um, he's pushed me a lot to say like, no, you can do this, and like it's just gonna take some work because you're not used to it. And so it's been a constant push for me to keep up my design work just with the sheer volume of work with Proven that it's like I want to keep getting better with that because I didn't have schooling in it or whatnot. But yeah, I wasn't always good at design. Like some of my old work is
yeah.
so bad, it's funny. But yeah.
Let's talk more about Shane and Tia. So obviously
Yeah.
you Shane calls you, you get the job. So you went from working for Loud and Life into working with some of the, I mean, the best athlete in the world, Tia. And also
Mhm.
you get to work with Brooke Wells. I think at that point, who else was there? Will, because that's
Yep.
the early stages of Proven. So there was only like
Yep.
5 athletes, right? So
Yep.
you go
So it was,
from Loud and Live into just photographing some of the best athletes in the world. How was that transition?
yeah, it was crazy. They flew me down for a weekend of the open, and they just had me. They're like just they didn't give me any parameters or anything. They just said do your thing basically, and like show us what you come up with. And so I did. And I had never shot in a gym that was that low lighting. CrossFit East Nashville is pretty dark in there, and so there's a lot of trial and error for me of like adjusting settings and whatnot to be there. But yeah, we had 5 athletes, I believe, at the time. So it was Tia, Brooke, Alex Smith, Will Morad, Street. So yeah, it was that crew. And so I did a trial weekend type thing with them, and I loved spending time with them. Everyone was super cool, super inviting. Everyone introduced themselves. Tia and Shane were super great. I actually stayed with them at their home for that first weekend, and I didn't really know what to expect going into it because I was a stranger, like I didn't know if it would be weird that I was just some random person from Minnesota coming to photograph. But by the time I left that weekend, it felt like I was around family. And that's totally to their credit. They're the most welcoming people I've ever met. And yeah, like I literally will get emotional thinking about it because they have taken me in 100% and treated me like family. So,
Yeah, that's one of the things I've noticed, that you have a really good relationship with Shane and Tia,
mm-hmm.
which is awesome because I mean you're spending the 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 biggest part of your week with them, so it's super important to have a good relationship. I mean, obviously you work with them, but at the same time, I feel like you guys are like friends. Like I've seen you, I don't know, like trips and stuff like that. So
Yeah, yeah,
that's
for sure.
awesome. Was it
Yeah,
like
it's
surreal to like meet Tia and you're like, oh my god, I'm about to work with the greatest athlete of all times?
oh,
How did that feel?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I had known about CrossFit, right, for a long time. And so going from just like my city of Duluth, Minnesota to working with Tia and Shane, I was felt so grateful. That was the biggest thing that I felt, of just like, thank you for this opportunity. And to this day, like, I mean, I tell them all the time, like, just giving me the opportunity to create and trust my creativity. Like, there's very little micromanaging on Shane and Tia's end. They trust me with creativity, and that is like the best gift of all, because as a creator, you just want to create from within and make something from nothing into something really great. And yeah, they have been so welcoming and understanding and open minded to any vision that I have. So,
Were you the first like media person on the team?
mm-hmm.
You were?
kind of. So Brandon BC Visions, he had been doing Tia's YouTube, and at the time he was also doing some work for um, the social media, so Proven Social Media, and so he was technically their first media person, but I was shortly after that. So,
And the team's been growing a lot lately, right? I saw some new people. I saw a post
oh
that you guys
yeah,
were hiring somebody else. Tell me about
yeah,
that. How's the growth in the media part of it for Proven?
yeah, absolutely. I think as Instagram has become such a video dominated app, we have really been pushing video as much as possible. And so with that, we, have hired Patty Orr. So Shane's brother, he works with us and he's in Australia right now. We also just recently hired Cole McSwain, and he's been a great addition to us as well. And we also have Brandon with us, so he does more YouTube, but he will do some social as well. And so yeah, we've been steadily growing. It's cool because it's slowly becoming like this larger feeling media team. Everyone has their own input and ideas, and it's cool because it's a very collaborative environment. At the end of the day, like I'm the one that physically posts it, but the ideas stem from everybody. It's a very collaborative environment, and that's what I really want. So yeah.
That's great. I love it. We have a pretty good question here by D. Clark Media. His name is Dalton Clark. Great dude. Actually, the picture right there, I took that shot. So, all right. So
Oh,
let's
awesome.
go back to the question. So he says, "Love watching the behind the scenes posts for Proven. Could you walk through your process, how you organize your content to post, what to post, and how you stay ahead in organizing content for Proven?" I think that's a really good question. It's something I was probably gonna, in some way or another, ask because I feel like there is a lot of stuff going on at the same time for Proven, like the posts,
Oh
like
yeah.
daily and all that. So it's super interesting. So that's a great question.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think within the question is, how do you stay organized? Organization is the biggest thing for me. I have tons of lists going at all times, but I use Facebook Creator Studio. to schedule out the posts. And so I try to be a week ahead in social media posting. So I always have technically like one-ish posts a day. And then we also incorporate videos. So around 4 to 5 videos a week, hopefully. And so those, we technically post like between 1 to 2. It can be 3 to 4 times per day. And so scheduling out a week ahead, we have a big video schedule that we go off of so that everyone's on the same page. That's definitely the biggest thing, is organization, and something that I need to be okay. Like I need to have organization, or else it's too much.
Yeah. I think that's one of the hardest things about social media. It's to stay consistent, organized, and like managing your time, because it's easy to like forget to post, or like just to like not keep the purpose of, for example, of proven, like the purpose of like what we need to focus on this week and all that. So
Yeah,
it's really important with like the whole organization thing. I didn't know you scheduled the post. That's really good. I mean, it makes sense when you work
yeah,
for like something like proven. We have another
yeah.
question here by Long Tap Media. His name is JC, another great dude. So, what's your favorite part of your job?
Oh, that's so hard.
I
Um,
mean, you can mention a couple like things that you really
yeah,
like about it.
yeah. I would say off the top of my head, I one of the favorite things that I have about Proven in my job is definitely the feeling of family that comes from Proven. Um, when I moved here, I'm originally from Minnesota. I didn't know anybody. Like I didn't know anyone down here, and so it feels like family. And it's just how families operate. There are days where everyone's in a good mood, everyone's crushing it, and then there are days where it's like it's pretty hard. Like you know things slip up, or when things happen, it creates a bump in the road. But the coolest thing is on those days, like on the bad days, you always have somebody like Shane or Dwight or Nick or somebody to like pull you up. And every single person on the team would give the shirt off their back for another person on the team. And that's the athletes, that's the media people, that's customer service. Like everybody on the team cares so much. So I would say feels like family for sure. Um, but another one is creative freedom. Um, when I worked for Loud and Live, I had less creative freedom than I do working for Proven. And basically, when I was hired, Shane said, "Look, you're the creator, and I want you to trust your own vision, and I want you to push yourself, and I trust what you do, and so I'm here if you need me, but I trust you." And that's something that means more to any person in the creative world than I can even say. Um, so
I
yeah,
think
I would
that's
say yeah,
I think it's really important, the whole creative freedom part of it, because obviously
sure,
you have rules, or not rules, but kind of like guidelines to follow for your brand. But at the same
yeah,
time, like you're the professional. So in my own experience, I perform the best whenever I'm just me.
exactly.
I can also like thinking about it, I can also think of weddings when I do weddings. I don't do too many of them,
Hmm.
but I do an okay amount of weddings a year. And when I perform best, or when I feel like my work is the best, is whenever the bride is like, "Hey, we trust you. Just do your thing.
Hmm.
Like you tell us what to do."
Yeah,
The only time I feel kind of uncomfortable is whenever they give me like a shot list, and like, we want this, and we want this
yeah,
pose and all that. That's when I'm like, I'll do it, because obviously it's you're the client. I'm gonna make you happy, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get
yeah,
like the product you want. But when I feel comfortable and like I perform the best is whenever I get that creative freedom. So
yeah,
I feel like it's really important, and it's awesome to hear that you have that creative freedom at Proven.
yeah. I think too, like that's what I was looking for in a career. And when I was in law, I didn't have any of that. It was very black and white. You follow what every attorney does, and you answer questions and you leave, like that's that.
You don't have to
So
answer
yeah.
that question if I just ask who's your favorite,
Oh
or
no.
don't answer,
I
just
know
say
who
both.
asked that. I can't answer that.
Who asked that?
I think Patty asked that,
Nice.
which I love Patty. He's great.
So Patty is Shane's brother. Is that right?
Yes. Yep.
And he
Patty
works
is
with you guys
Shane's
now?
older brother. Yeah.
Okay. That's
So
awesome. I
Patty
actually,
is. Oh, sorry. You go.
no, well, I was gonna say I actually got connected with Patty not that long ago. Social media, just kind of like, hey, dude, your work is cool and all that, and we've been talking. I think probably
Awesome.
since I
Yeah.
announced the Carly Creative episode, he got interested.
Yeah, he's great. He's awesome.
Well, let's talk about the season. So I like this question because it
Yeah.
kind of like opens up the topic. Torian, that's in Australia, right?
Mhm.
That's where Tia's gonna compete for semifinals.
Uh, yes, that's where Tia's competing. The reason I hesitated is because I don't know if that's public knowledge yet, but yeah.
I think they had until today or yesterday to
Okay.
accept.
Okay.
So I mean, it
Yeah.
makes
So
sense. She's from Australia. It's in Australia. So
yeah. Yep. She'll be heading home to Torian for that. So
okay,
they actually just I think I saw Proven Fitness asked, "Are you coming to Torian?" And the answer is yes. I'm so stoked to go to Torian. I'll be shooting with Patty there, and I've never been to Australia, but it's been on my bucket list for a long time. So to be able to see that is, I'm so excited. So yeah.
so how do you prepare for the season? Obviously, the open quarterfinals just ended,
Mm-hmm.
which for you it's probably very, I wouldn't say high stress, but there's a lot going on because there's a lot of
Yeah.
athletes competing. There is all this like so many workouts at the same time. But
Mm-hmm.
now we're entering to the semifinals. Are you planning on how do you like, or how does proven like kind of like tells you, hey, you're gonna be going to this one, this competition, all that, and how do you prepare for it?
Yeah. Good question. So I just found out I'll be going to Torian. So I think Syndicate and Torian are on the same weekend, but basically we'll have somebody at Syndicate and I will be at Torian. So our goal is to get as much content of each athlete on Proven that we can. And so once it's decided where each athlete is going, then Shane will kind of plan accordingly of who's going to be where. The goal is always to have somebody who can do photo and somebody who can do video at each event. And so Patty at Torian Pro will be doing video and I'll be doing photo for that. And yeah, so I'm going to be heading to almost all of the semifinals that I can make it to. So I'll be at Torian, I'll be at MAC, and then I'll be at Granite Games. So all back-to-back weekends. But as far as planning for them, um, my biggest goal is just heading into it, staying really on each athlete that is there for Proven, and also making sure that I'm capturing all the moments from when they run out to when they're done. I'm a huge person of capturing as much emotion as I can um, with the athletes, and so I'm not only shooting for Proven, but I'm shooting for so that the athlete can remember those moments for them. And at any time, like it can be the last event, it can be the last, you know, the end of the season for anyone. But to have those moments to carry on, like going forward, is really important. So yeah, I plan to be at all of them and try to get as many as I can.
Yeah, I love how athletes also really appreciate what we do. They know
Mhm.
it's, I mean, they know it's not easy to go out in a competition and start shooting everybody and then, you know, doing some selects for them and then sending it to them. So I feel like it's
Yeah.
pretty cool, the appreciation we receive. We have a question from Jordan Levin, advice on how to get connected in the CrossFit media community more.
Ooh, that's great. I think keep showing up to comps. That's my biggest advice. It's at the end of the day, the CrossFit media world is kind of small. You see the same people at every competition. And I would always say utilize your connections as much as possible. So, like, say you shoot for, I don't know, an athlete that does GOWOD, try to utilize that connection with GOWOD, or try to utilize a connection with anybody that you have, and see what that looks like for you. If you can somehow find a way to keep shooting at comps to get those connections, do it. So I can only go off of my own experience, but because Wadapalooza was the spot where I kind of created, my story at, like, I would just encourage people that want to be in CrossFit media to keep showing up to the comps for sure. And when you're there, like, connect with people, ask questions, be a good person, all those
Yeah,
things.
I agree. Shooting a lot, just practicing, trial and error, see what works, what doesn't work for you. That's
Mm-hmm.
kind of what helped me. And as you said, it's very important to make connections. Like once
Yeah,
you're at the competition and you see somebody that you really like their work, just go up to a person and be like, "Hey, Carly, I've seen your work. I love what you do. I'm located, I don't know, in Knoxville. Like if you guys need anybody at any point, like I'm available, just hit me up."
yeah,
And then you'll be surprised how many of those opportunities you're gonna get. And if you don't
yeah,
get an opportunity from that person, it can be like that person can recommend you to somebody else. Like they can like reach out to Carla,
exactly.
like, "Hey, do you know anybody that can do XX?" And you're like, "Well, this dude Carlos reached out to me, and I remember he's from, I don't know, Knoxville." And then so definitely just making connections, make connections you can, and just shooting a lot and find your own style. I feel like
Yeah.
that's important too. Something that people like already they see a picture and they already know what's your style and where you're going for.
Oh,
Just
so
be
true.
unique.
Yeah, and with that too, like, this question isn't necessarily the same thing, but, like, if I could have given myself advice at that point in my life, it would just be like to trust myself, like to trust that pouring more energy into what I really want to do is going to pay off, and um there there are good and bad days to that, but if you keep putting more and more energy into what you want to be doing, like, sooner or later it's gonna turn up. And
Very
yeah.
true. True. Before we keep going, somebody asked me if I'm drinking beers. Last episode, no, it's sparkling water. It's not beer. I had two
I
people
don't
ask
know.
me actually. They're like, "Are you slamming beers in the in the episode?" I'm like, "No, it's just sparkling water. Kind of looks like beer."
Yeah,
Just
I don't know,
wanted to
Carlos.
let everybody know. Um,
I don't know. I wouldn't be
yeah,
surprised if you were slamming some beers though.
no, 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 definitely not. I gotta stay focused.
Uh,
What are some of your influences in the industry, specifically in CrossFit and outside of CrossFit too? It doesn't
okay.
have. I mean, yeah. I'm just gonna leave it there. Some people that you
Okay.
look up to, that you like their work, or some people you feel like you've been influenced at one point of your career. It can be starting out.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, I didn't start photography with doing CrossFit, if that makes sense. Like, my first exposure to photography was not CrossFit. And so I would say, like, I still find most of my inspiration from creators that are not within CrossFit. And I say that because, like, I'm always trying to find new ideas to bring into CrossFit, or bring into CrossFit media that I see, within travel photographers, or I see elsewhere, because, like, I think we need, I don't know, more creativity with that. So one of my favorite non CrossFit media people is a photographer named Henry's Diaries. I don't know if anyone knows that, but his work is absolutely incredible. Like, you should look him up. He does mostly elopements at the top of mountains, like, all across the world, and his work like makes you stop and it's like, holy crap, like you feel something from that. And a lot of like wide angle shots and whatnot, but that's somebody that really, like, I look at their work and I'm like, holy crap, that's so cool. Within CrossFit, I would say for a long time I've been very inspired by Mariah Moore. She she's been in the industry for so long, and she's been there since the very beginning and has kind of like revolutionized how documentaries can be told, with her 2018 doc. And so also like I'm very inspired by who she is as a person too. Like when you meet media people, like you get a mixed bag of, some people are really, they won't talk to you, some people, you know, won't give advice or whatnot, but Mariah is such a stand-up person, and I don't know, just cares a lot about the people that are in her circle, and I respect that a lot. So yeah,
I
I
don't
would
know her.
say
I don't know her
that.
personally, but I've heard a lot of good things about her. She
Yeah.
she made she made the documentaries, right, with Heber and Mars and them.
Yep. Yep. She did.
Awesome.
Yeah, she's pretty incredible.
So we have Jay here. He asked, "Who do you watch most content? Oh, sorry. Who do you watch most for content creation on YouTube?"
Ooh, I would say I actually don't watch a ton of like content creators on YouTube. I don't know if that's bad. Like I used to watch a lot of Peter McKinnon videos and whatnot. I entered one of his challenges one time. Like I was a pretty big fan at one point. But I would say I would watch his videos, but like within the last few years, I honestly haven't. When I get time to myself, I try to unplug from what I do all the time. That's pretty big for me. So I'll like go on a walk or whatnot and try to decompress. But yeah, I don't really watch a ton of content creators on YouTube. I feel bad saying that.
I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
I was kind of like that too. I used to watch a lot of YouTube. I feel like during when everything got locked down, that's what I did a lot. So yeah, obviously a lot of Peter McKinnon,
Mhm.
and you find a lot of like good. I feel like I learned a lot just watching YouTube. I've, most of the
Oh, for
stuff
sure.
or everything that I know, it's self-taught, but YouTube is almost like that. Like if somebody asked me, what was your school for content creation? I think it was just YouTube. Every time I had a question, you can type whatever you want on YouTube and you're going to find it.
Mhm. Yeah, that's so true. I do use YouTube for a lot of other things, but yeah, I don't know. It's I feel I've tried to ask myself that a few times, like who really inspires me, and like there are various people, but like I really try to find inspiration through not other people. Like I'll find it a lot through my surroundings or like being outside or whatnot, but like I don't really, I try not to find it through a ton of people. You know, like I'm really trying to refine what I can do. So yeah, that's a big thing for me.
So talking about the lockdown, so I was doing a little research and I saw that you were helping some small businesses during I'm not gonna say the name because the video is gonna get flagged. But tell me about that. I saw you were in the news. You were like on TV. Tell me since the beginning, like how did that start, and or if you wanna, if you can explain to people listening, what were you doing during
Yeah.
when people needed it the most? Because the small businesses were the ones that were affected the most during those times.
Oh, for sure. So when the lockdown happened, I couldn't work. So I couldn't book sessions because of like the 6 foot distance thing. And so basically I was trying to figure out how I could like it's a big thing for me. Like I really want to help people if I can. And so I had a ton of time. Like I was doing work for Loud and Labs and whatnot, but I was like, well, I could go to different businesses that are still open and take photos of them and put them on my social media, and maybe maybe like we'll become friends, or like I'll gain a connection through that. But at the very least, like they deserve any type of exposure that they can get at this point. Like and and so yeah, I started with all these different businesses in St. Paul and Minneapolis at the time. And I would just drive around and DM them on social media and say, hey, like, would it be okay if I took photos of your business and give you a shout out? And you can list ways that people can help you and whatnot. And so it became a lot bigger than I thought. Businesses started reaching out to me saying like, hey, I would love to like take part in this, and like this business could really use it, and these guys might shut down, like please get them, and all of that. And so I took on a lot during that time, but it was so rewarding because I couldn't do anything, like I couldn't shoot, I didn't have a job, like I was like, well, I'll just do this. And it, like, there are a few times where I remember driving to different businesses and I was like, this would be so hard to be a business owner right now. Like, you don't know if somebody is gonna, if you can even afford to make it. And yeah, so the news figured out that I was doing it, and like wanted to interview, and that was cool. But yeah, at the end of the day, I was just really hoping that at any cost I could just help them or like give them an extra customer, because I didn't know if they would be around if at the end of the lockdown. So
Yeah, that's such an awesome way to help somebody using your skills and your creativity. I thought it
yeah.
was really awesome. I saw the post, and then I kind of like did a little more research, and I saw some of the pictures you were posting, and it was really awesome. So I mean, it just says a lot about the kind of person that you are.
Thank you. Yeah, I think, after I decided to quit my life career with law, um, there was kind of like a death for me of like, I was kind of like weirdly grieving the fact that I wasn't going to impact people in that way anymore. And so for me, choosing the creative route, I was scared that I wouldn't have a big impact on people. Like, I wanted to help people and I wanted to do what I could for others, and like I didn't know if I could. And so what's really unique though is like I've had probably more impact doing what I'm doing now because I'm passionate about it than I would have if I stayed in something that I wasn't happy doing. And so yeah, like just seeing, I don't know, like an affiliate in Asia or an affiliate in Australia, or people working out around the world that are very impacted by what we're doing at Proven, it makes it feel really real that like you do have a lot of impact, and social media is a good avenue to get you there.
I love it. So one question, I actually had this question. I try not to prepare any questions because I just want to have like a normal conversation.
Yeah.
But obviously, you start your full-time career as a content creator, and you've had a lot of success, but at the same time, like not everything is perfect. Like not everything it's like, you're going to be taking good pictures all the time and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, what's the biggest challenge you've had since the moment you decided to make it your full-time career?
Yeah, too many to count, honestly.
What's the
But
first one that comes to mind?
yeah, I would say the first that comes to mind is probably trying to be creative every day. That's the biggest one. And like when you're a creator, just like any other position in the world, like you have good days and bad days. And like I'm fortunate to be in the position that I am, but it also is a very big challenge of day to day trying to be so creative. And like it's not something you can turn on and off, right? It's like very much fostered through, time and whatnot. And so yeah, I would say being, on bad days or on days you don't feel that great about yourself or about life, or like life gets in the way or whatever, like on those days still be creative. Like yeah, like to me it's okay to have days that aren't, you're not creative or you're not that productive, because it doesn't define you at all. So that's probably the biggest one.
Yeah. I feel like for me, it's similar days that I
Mhm.
feel unmotivated and that I'm just not feeling as you say, like creative, and it's just kind of like a constant battle with yourself, like to stay like working hard. And it sometimes it happens too because like the motivation, it can be because you see something like
Yeah.
somebody's work that it's so good that you're like, will I ever like do that? I don't know. And but yeah, at the end
Yeah.
of the day, it's just kind of like just believe in yourself and just keep doing it.
Yeah.
um we
I
have,
will.
oh sorry, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I actually entered proven and like at a state where I wasn't that confident. Like I had confidence in my work. Like I thought I was good, you know, and but I knew I had so much to learn. And what's cool is like Tia would tell you 10 times out of 10 that like on the days where it's really hard, Shane believes in her more than she believes in her. Like Shane is that backbone of like I really believe in you. And for me, it was the same thing with the team. So like, you know, I came into it not knowing the crew. Like I was very new, and but everyone believed in me, you know, like everyone was really cool about me learning and failing and then learning again and all of that. And so Tia and Shane have been huge for me to like build my own confidence, because without that, it's like without confidence in yourself, like I don't know, like it's very hard to get from where you are to where you want to be. Yeah.
Love it. So we are at the 1 hour mark. We're gonna
Yeah.
answer one more question. Dalton asks, what is your go-to camera and lens to shoot with? What about going to major comps? What lens do you like to use there?
Uh well, my major or go-to camera. My go-to camera is the Canon 5D Mark 3 and 4. Those are what I shoot on. And I love Canon colors. But my favorite lens is probably a 35 or an 85. I do like really close shots of people, but yeah, I would probably say for lifestyle work more 35. When I'm in the gym, I try to give the athletes their space. So I'll shoot with like an 85 or something like that. And then when I go to comps, what lens do I use? I typically will shoot with a 70 to 200. Um, but I did shoot with like a, I think 200 to 400 at Rogue. I can't even remember, but yeah, something pretty zoomed.
Awesome. And my last question, what's next for Carly Johnson?
What's next? Well, we have the proven semifinal camp this weekend, so I'll be shooting that the whole weekend. But yeah, I'm stoked for Australia. I'm hoping to get a ton of content there of the Tia and Shane, but also just the life there. Um, yeah, day by day. I don't know, honestly. I take it day by day. So
Love it.
yeah,
Carly, thank you so much for being on the show. I like to
thank you.
stop them at an hour because
Yeah,
that means that, I mean, if we probably have more stuff to talk about, but if we talk for 2 hours, then there wouldn't be a reason for you to come back on the show. So I feel like
yeah.
an
No,
hour is good enough for
I wouldn't want
maybe,
to listen to us for 2 hours anyway.
yeah,
It's okay, Carlos.
exactly. So maybe you can come back another for another episode. But I really, really appreciate your time, and I love what you do, and I'm really happy that you found something that you really like and that you're inspiring people and connecting and doing all
Yeah,
the living the dream.
absolutely. No, thanks for having me. And likewise, I mean, I love your colors. I love your work, and I love that you're doing this. Like you're testing your own limits by having a podcast, you know, and pushing yourself, and that's huge. That's all you can ever do. So,
I
thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
me.
Absolutely. For everybody listening, thank you so much for the support. I've been getting some DMs lately and I really appreciate it. Obviously, the channel's still kind of small, but I read everything and it means a lot. I see in the comments right here Bennett, Dalton, and Jordan, a lot of cool comments. So, really, thank you so much. If you like the show, please like it. We've been getting like close to 200 views and not that many likes. So, come on, guys, go ahead and like the post. Follow Carly on Instagram. You can see her Instagram handle right there at Carly Creative, everything with a K, Carly, and Creative with a K. You can follow me too if you want. You don't have to, but you have to follow Carly. And
Oh.
And follow the channel too at Content Lab Podcast and subscribe on YouTube. This episode is going to be on Spotify tomorrow. So if you want to just listen to it, you can go there. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Next episode is going to be next week. I'll announce it soon. Carly, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
See you guys. Thank you so much.